Well, it's time once again for what's become an annual tradition in the Valley. I'm talking about the big broadcast scheduled this weekend at Mount Holyoke College. Professor Mark Gionfriddo created the big broadcast, and he and 22 News meteorologist Brian Lapis stopped by to tell us about their step back in time, saluting the golden age of radio and the big band era.
It's a great show. We just absolutely love putting it on every year. And yeah, you could say maybe 1942 or you could say 1946. We're not really quite sure. We put it in the 40s. We don't talk a lot about the war effort. We keep it kind of general. And that way I have the opportunity to kind of cast my net wide as far as all of the songs that we can do from that particular era. So it's kind of an amalgam of the 40s, but it's definitely rooted in the 40s for sure. And well, what would you say some of the highlights of the show? I would say certainly the music.
Fred Kelly.
Fred Kelly.
Right? You know? Huh? But,
the interesting thing about the show is that for about a week or so before we start the production of the show, there are some of my students act as producers, and they help actually create the show by writing all of Fred's intros and outros. I select all of the music. They select the commercials. We do actual commercials from the period. And so it's a real recreation of what a typical audience member would see if they went to a taping of a radio variety show from that era. Yeah. So including a newscast, and one thing which I think is really, really cool, they write an actual original radio play that's in the second act. And this year it's My Name is Sterling, which is a crime noir drama, which not only includes the detective Sterling, but also Sterling Aside, which is everything going on in Sterling's head. So two people play Sterling, that kind of thing. It's just so much fun for the students to put together and fun for me to produce.
People actually often ask me, what could you compare this to in the 21st century? And there really isn't anything. I think the closest reference in terms of radio would be Prairie Home Companion, which is this kind of layered live music. There's a little drama in there, and then there are commercials. And this is really a throwback to what you would turn on a primetime evening. This was the primetime television of its era.
That's right. It was the only real way, of course, radio at that time of getting information out to the public. Everybody was, gathered, the whole family gathered around the radio, listening to what was going on, And it's really interesting for the students because, they're captivated by their phones and the internet and everything else of, immediately getting your information. But this is a completely different era for them.
Brian Lapis, I know you're a guy that started in radio like a lot of us did, and a student of broadcast history. How cool is it to be able to step back 70 years just about, way before any of our times, thank goodness, not much is anymore before my time, and become a guy from that era?
Yeah, I like to believe that if I was around back in the early to mid 40s, that I would be to Fred Kelly, who is the Fred Kelly of the 21st century? Again, it's hard to make that comparison, but a person like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, those types of Ryan Seacrest of the 21st century are probably the closest analogy. But this is a guy who knows all the band members, knows all the Starlight Sweethearts who are the ladies in the chorus, and is familiar with all the products, the live commercials. It's such a flavorful show that we put on. It's really great, and that character that I play of Fred Kelly, he is the guy that's connected to all of these things and kind of is the glue of the big broadcast, along with the maestro, Matt Morgan.
Gentlemen, good luck with the show. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.